would look at our political system of left and right and see it like we would view two hemispheres of a single brain made whole, or yin and yang joined together for a more perfect union. Someone who is an anti-hero would see the two sides as incompatible, forever to be divorced, while one side must rule over and punish the other into submission so that a fake marriage can be made to look real.
We will never back down to the satanic, pedophile, globalist, New World Order and their walking dead, reanimated corpse, Joe Biden. And we will never recognize him. So I don't know who's going to the White House in 38 days, but I sure know this. Joe Biden is a globalist, and Joe Biden will be removed one way or another.
Show the world who the traitors are, and then use the Insurrection Act to drop the hammer on them. He needs to know from you that you are with him, that if he does not do it now while he is commander-in-chief, we're going to have to do it ourselves later in a much more desperate, much more bloody war. Let's get it on now while he is still the commander-in-chief. Hooah!
Then they stole the election, and now they're bringing back coronavirus.
Oh, yeah.
And when they do that, they're going to bring back Black Lives Matter and Antifa. You know what? This time we're going to meet you in the streets. Come on, left. We're going to meet you in the streets this time. We're going to defend this state of Florida. We're not going to put up with this stuff anymore. The left, you better pack up and flee. If you're part of this communist revolution, lefties, you better get out of the country. If we find out you're a part of the communist revolution, we're coming after you. All right? I don't care. FBI, put my name down on a list. Go ahead and do it. Do it. I don't care.
They don't believe in the sportsmanship spirit, so their teammates try to whip up the fans into a frenzy, demonizing the opponents, so they may terrorize them while ruining the game.
But the Democrats have become too extreme, and they've become, frankly, too dangerous to govern. They've gone wacko. Virtually every top Democrat also now supports late-term abortion, ripping babies straight from the mother's womb right up until the moment of birth. Democrats are now the party of high taxes, high crime, open borders, late-term abortion, socialism, and blatant corruption. Innocent Americans in all 50 states are being brutalized and murdered by illegal alien criminals. We're dealing with people that don't respect you. And by the way, you know, they talk about the elite. You're the elite. They're not the elite. You're the elite.
But I want to play for the team I see exemplifying the best of our potential, to have the sportsmanship spirit in leading your teammates towards the best they can be, and winning gracefully in a way to not play off of the worst nature within your fans, or to shame or antagonize the opponent. Instead, you uplift and win them over to your side, so they end up being your greatest fans, while cheering you on to a new kind of victory where both sides can win together. I want to transcend the warfare of both sides, so I refer to them as being a unified entity or genuinely joined together for a more perfect union as a Democratublican. Why do I not refer to them as Democrat-Republican? Because these are two separate words which beg opposition and the kind of increased animosity we've seen on the rise. But if we can combine both words into one, recognizing their interdependence while symbolizing something new and improved, we can join them together into a more perfect union. So how could we do that? Well, Trump Republicans, as they are now acting like anti-heroes, would not entertain such ideals.
So we're standing with this president because he is the man that God chose for a time such as this. And the alternative is baby-killing, Luciferian, demonic agenda of darkness and communism and taking away our rights and taking away our freedoms and taking away our religious liberties. And this is a massive battle that we're in.
I just warn you that we are in a spiritual battle against evil unleashed. We are not fighting the Democrats. We are fighting Satan himself.
What we see, unfortunately, is raging egos and paranoia out of control.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. I have the best people. I have the best courses in the world. They love me. They love me. I've got the largest bank in the world from China, Chinese bank, the largest in the world, biggest bank in China, is my tenant in one of my buildings. I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second. A lot of people think that I'll be the best in jobs by far. I will be the greatest that God ever created, believe me. Best in the economy, by far best in leadership. Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it. I am the chosen one.
Today he tweeted this: Buffalo protester shoved by police could be an Antifa provocateur. So the president finds it less believable that the Buffalo police pushed an elderly man to the ground, injuring him, than that a 75-year-old activist deployed sophisticated technology to track police on behalf of a shadowy far-left militant group and then threw himself on the ground in order to make the police look bad. The author of this piece goes on, what do we even do with that?
With the amplification of animosity increasing between what the left and right describe as a new Civil War level of hostility, you'd think both sides would identify themselves as a hero and the other side the villain. But what do we make of stories that turn this assumption upside down?
We've got the shadow government that's going on in Washington. He's moved to Washington. He's sending out, 25 to 30,000 protesters at a time. He's training them.
This right-wing guy is about to describe his opposition as Jedi. Does he want us to think of him as working for the Empire?
I mean, he is literally the Saul Alinsky Jedi Knight trainer right now.
Another similar story had Trump's campaign team use an image of supervillain Thanos from the Avengers with Trump's head superimposed on his body. These and other actions like it make the animosity and divide between us that much wider. Some may say the right is using these symbols to trigger the left even more. Or could it be maybe there is some truth to the level of villainy the GOP has sunk to, and they don't have the moral courage to say it's wrong to celebrate or visualize themselves playing evil's part? There have already been examples of right-wing fanatics calling for liberals to be executed who they believe are guilty of treason.
And as McInerney says, the president as commander-in-chief needs to step in and pull up the Insurrection Act and say, this is a military issue, and round up those who have committed treason, and then it goes down the path of a military tribunal.
Only when raging egos and paranoia are dismantled do we get the remainder of a word compatible to join forces with its opposite. But for Democrats, they have been hurt by the anti-hero agenda of Republicans, so something has to change in them for a transformation. And this is where the last letter T comes into play, is not belonging to either side, but shared by both. Only after reformation on both sides can it be given freely to the opposition as trust. Trust is needed to join together for a more perfect union. And because the left side of America comes before the right side after their evolution, with the first becoming last and the last becoming first, it is the progressive vision of America that must lead us forward, which is actually left, because left is correct when right has become so wrong. But as they join forces anew for a more perfect union, left and right can both be correct to transcend the righteousness claimed by the corrupt side for the purity of unity between opposites offered by the power of dreams on the other side. Imagine a loving mother and father of equals who are a team in birthing the next phase of America's evolution, where we wake from the nightmare of civil and global war to become the dream of world spirit and planetary peace, liberty and justice for all. Imagine us being called onto the world stage at this time in history to wake from our nightmare and become the dream of world spirit, a hero for our age. And what do heroes do? They build bridges, tear down walls, and unite our humanity out of many one.
A genuine revolution of values means in the final analysis that our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Every nation must now develop an overriding loyalty to mankind as a whole in order to preserve the best in their individual societies. This call for a worldwide fellowship that lifts neighborly concern beyond one's tribe, race, class, and nation is in reality a call for an all-embracing, unconditional love for all men, has now become an absolute necessity for the survival of mankind. It is time for all people of conscience to call upon America to come back home. Come home, America.
I keep on phasing in and out between both sides at war. When I enter the realm of dreams and the best within us, I feel empowered, transformed, and loved, while the condemning voice tearing me down for being sick for a quarter century finally subsides, and a new future of promise opens up before me. These dreams project a beautiful future where evolution continues to see us overcome the challenges ahead through healing and unification. When I fall under the spell of the villainous side of us, I feel powerless to defend myself from the onslaught of their condemnation, while entering into the evil category of their consciousness as enemy of the state, destined to be victim of their war. The nightmare future they visualize can't be stopped, where it foresees a repeat of history, with evil rising up again to destroy our world in a third world war, while only the return of their sky god can save them from the damned and our collective fragmentation. Somehow I have to transcend this side of my being, wreaking havoc inside my body in the form of chronic Lyme disease. Just like I have to somehow transform this side of our being, wreaking havoc inside our national body in the form of religious and right-wing fanaticism. There's got to be a way where the power of beautiful dreams overcome horrifying nightmares. But how can this be done when the side I see going wrong sees the side I defend in the same light? Is it possible they are seeing mirrors of themselves, and it troubles them for the same reason seeing the worst in their side troubles me? Let's be honest about how the same reform needed in the right is also needed to a degree in the left. Let's acknowledge the Trump side of Democrats and Republicans must both be simultaneously transformed into a kinder version of us, compatible with coming together for a more perfect union. The George W. Bush side of Republicans, getting us into wars that should have never been, needs reform just as much as those Democrats going along with him for the ride. When we purge what's wrong in both sides, perhaps we will then see a heroism emerge in our opposite, so the sportsmanship spirit can return, and we can continue playing the game of government with mutual respect for the team captains on both sides, bringing out the best within us.